Let's talk offensive line with your goofy asses. We're going to bunch everybody together, tackles, guards, and centers. A lot of people hate to do that. Well, how can you judge tackles versus centers versus guards? They do different things. Well, the same way we know Tom Brady is a better quarterback than Orlando Scandrick is a corner, right? We just, you put it in context and you figure it out from there. Of course, they do different jobs, but one player is superior to the other. I have this understanding. A lot of people in the draft community don't. It makes my ass itch when I hear it. We can 100% grade tackles, guards, and centers together, and that's what we did today. We're doing a top 15 this time. Last time we did 10. It's a lot of cats that I wanted to bunch in since we're talking about 3 different position groups. So we're going to help differentiate some of these guys, and a lot of them are going to look alike on film, but it's small little technical nuances, I would say, that separate these guys, right? These small little details that I use. So my top 15, I'll even talk about some of these guys that are sort of bunched in the same group that I had problems with, but let's jump right into it. The 15th best offensive lineman is Voch Lombardi. Goddamn it. Look at Voch Lombardi. No, I'm playing. We're going to do this just like we did last time, the question mark format. We're going to do this thing one by damn one. I did feel like I was a pretty good offensive lineman. I was my biggest fan. However, Eric McCoy from Texas A&M, the center, Senior Bowl guy, had a pretty good Senior Bowl. I didn't really know of him until I watched the Senior Bowl. But I walked away surprised, right? He has some technical things I want him to work on, like his movement, the finesse side of the game, right? But watching the Senior Bowl, what I liked about him, and I went back and watched the film, and it absolutely checked out, is if he feel like he couldn't kick, read, and react and block you, he would just quick set punch you in the mouth and keep you there. And I like it. It's a very practical way to think, right? And I know a lot of people want to, they'll draft a guy based on, this or that, or they won't draft a guy based on what they're missing. Oh, I'm not going to draft Cody Ford because I don't like how he moves. Well, does he get the job done? The tools that he does well, does he get the job done? Does he do it efficiently? And hey, man, if you just want to, quick set and punch people in the mouth and then react, hey, you can do it all day. I ain't mad at you, bro. The next is Ben Powers, the Oklahoma kid. Well, one of the Oklahoma kids. I'll save that. I'm not going to hit you with a spoiler alert. But Oklahoma had five draft picks on their line, right? Like Kyler Murray had the Lambo. Their center is a freshman, I believe. He wasn't coming out. There was Samia, then there's Powers, and there's Cody, right? I think Powers, what I really liked about him was, he was a pretty standard guard. Like, he was a very solid guy. He did his job. He played well. But what I liked about him was that when he found his way in trouble, he could always work himself out of it. He was a great improviser. He was a great reactionary recover guy. You know what I mean? So if he does get his ass whooped, he can fight his way out of it. To where if some guys, if the opponent has a length advantage and they get inside and they're strong, they just get run smooth over. Ben Powers will probably go for a ride for 2 steps, but he'll eventually get his hands back inside, get under you, and recover and finish the block. Right. The Oklahoma kids, Ben and Drew, they both kind of had weird Senior Bowl one-on-one pass rush drills or whatever. You can go check those out on my channel if you want to. They both had weird 3 days, pass rushing or whatnot. But what I found out is that those guys play better in a team setting. That's not the only time you're gonna hear me say that. So, but I do think the Senior Bowl helped Ben Powers and Eric McCoy. I think both of them made some money at the Senior Bowl. I appreciate them. It seems like all the damn linemen went to the Senior Bowl, and Max Scharping was another guy that I gained a lot of respect for, from Northern Illinois, tackle. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Max Scharping, man. I walked into the Senior Bowl looking for the Oklahoma kids, the Wisconsin kids, the Alabama guy. But I walked away noticing Max Scharping, and I was a fan of him, right? Pretty good size, solid length. I don't have the exact numbers. Combines next week. Combine nerds hit me with his arm length, if you will. But what I liked about him was the arm length that he has. He's able to extend and use it, right? Gets to his landmarks, get to his blocks. I liked him. I was a really big fan of him. He rarely got pushed around. I think he got pushed around one time, but it was a gangster that he was against. It was like LJ Collier or something. LJ Collier pushed her around. It is what it is. But that was at Senior Bowl practices or whatever. But I walked away pleasantly surprised with Max Scharping. He's probably going to be a later round pick, man. Like, third, fourth round guy, something like that. I don't know. But big fan of him. Big fan of him. This may cause a little bit of a head scratch. Gonna be a lot of head rolls here, but Greg Little could be so much higher on this list, but man, the S word and the L word just really hold him down, man. That's soft and lazy. And I hate calling football players soft and lazy. I hate calling a grown man soft because, if we got to a fight, I don't know how it'll go. But in terms of football, S word, L word, my dude. Greg would have these majestic, fantastic feet, get to his landmark, great size, great length. He'll engage a blocker, win, but he didn't have the effort to finish the block. And finishing means so much to me. The only reason he's even on this list at 12 is because he's so physically gifted, right? But, oh my God, my ass itch when I see a talented player, a top talented gifted player, but they're not using all their gifts because they're S word or L word. You know what I mean? Like, Greg, you 320 something pounds, fam. Like, what, 6'7", 6'6" or something? Come off the ball and hit these people in the mouth with your length. But you can't teach temperament, though. That's what makes me, kind of nervous about him. You can't teach temperament. You can't say, all right, Greg, roll out the bed and just be nasty today. I don't think you can do that. It's been plenty scenarios. You can go watch the film session, man. Plenty scenarios to where he'll block somebody, but by him not finishing, they'll just get off the block and go make the tackle, man. I talk about a lot of these defensive ends, and I talk crazy about them because they don't get off blocks well. Well, they don't get off blocks well because the tackle's going to continue blocking them until the whistle blows, right? Greg Little put his quarterback in a lot of bad spots because he didn't continue to run his feet. He didn't keep blocking until the whistle blew. And man, that's why Greg Little, this once considered first overall pick, is the 12th guy on my list. Boy, the draft Illuminati really tried to push Greg Little, but he's 12th, my guy. He's 12th. I'm sorry. I couldn't put somebody I really liked behind Greg Little. I couldn't let him skip the guys that I really like. I think everybody in front of him I really like. Like my son, Chris Lindstrom. I've gone ahead and made a claim for him. Chris Lindstrom, Boston College, Senior Bowl guy. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Now, when you watch the film, it's 2 bits of film that are on YouTube that really gives you a good feel about Chris Lindstrom, and he has some pretty good blocks against Christian Wilkins, okay, a top defensive tackle in his class, and he's the only person in life that was able to block my man's from the University of Miami, Gerald Willis. He was able to block Gerald Willis, gave both those guys tough days, right? So the competition is absolutely there. I was blown away by him at the Senior Bowl practices, right? He just had great Great drills, man, day in and day out. The run drills, the pass set drills. And like I said, I walked in looking for the Wisconsin kids. And I was like, okay, Wisconsin kids, let's see what y'all got. But I walked away, really appreciating this guy from Northern Illinois and my new son, Chris Lindstrom from Boston College. Huge fan of Chris Lindstrom, man. And it settled me to know that he did it against some solid competition. So salute to Chris, man. Salute to Chris. He's number 11 on my list. Boy, I'm a fan of him. Titus Howard. It seems like every damn body on this list went to the Senior Bowl, right? No, that's Oh, let me tell y'all something. How about this? Hey, I'm looking down at my goofy ass list, but my phone on my paper covered up the arrows that I wrote. So peep this out. Let's do this. Peep this out, y'all. And I had to have a conflict with myself, right? At first, Titus Howard was going to be at 10 and Yanni Kajus was going to be at 8, right? But I had to check myself. And this is how a lot of big boards are built. So I'm glad I made this mistake and I'm not going to edit it. Let me welcome y'all to the big board conversation, how a lot of these conversations happen, man. I had Yanni Kajus at 8. Titus Howard at 10, and I'll do this too. And I had Ross Pierschenbacher at 8. At 9. So let me just reset this for y'all, right? Titus Howard right here from Alabama State, I had him at 10. Ross Pierschenbacher from Alabama, I had him at 9, and I had Yanni Kajus at number 8, right? So check this out. Right. What I ended up looking at was, okay, this is my list. And I went back over my list and I said, okay, am I satisfied with everything on this list? Yanni Kajus was sitting smooth at number 8. But I was like, is there anything that Titus is better at Yanni? And I think Titus moves a little better than Yanni. I think Titus gets to his landmarks a little better. I think Titus, he has lighter feet. He kicks. But if you look at Yanni, I think where Yanni excels is when he gets his hands on you and he gets to be mean, physical, and nasty. I think Titus also has a little bit of that in him as well. So if I look at it relatively, which skill do I want the most? Would I rather have a nasty guy that doesn't really move very well, or would I rather have the guy that moves better than that guy, but he's almost as nasty? I take the movement, right? I take the movement. So Yanni's up here. I had to bump him down somewhere. I had to bump him down about right around here. So then I was like, man, let me think about Ross Pierschenbacher. I'm just moving on my list here. Let me think about Ross Pierschenbacher, right? And I think about the competition. I think about the war that Ross had with my man from Mississippi State. I'm blanking on these names, pardon me, because I've been saying them all day. Jeffrey Simmons. I think about the fight that Ross Pierschenbacher had with Jeffrey Simmons and some of these other guys, that he dealt with playing ball at Alabama. He even played against the Clemson kids, the Georgia guys, all that, whatever. Auburn guys, whatever. If you look at the fights that Ross Pierschenbacher had, then you look at the fights that Titus Howard had versus Auburn, then you look at the fights he had in the Senior Bowl. I put competition and movement and nasty, angry shit over what Yanni Kajus did. Now, Yanni had his fair share of fights. He had his fair share of fights. But I think they had better competition and they both move better. And I had to bump Yanni down my list. So Yanni ended up being, let me write this down. Yanni ended up being 10th. Okay? And that's making Titus Howard number 9 from Alabama State. And that makes Ross Pierschenbacher my number 8 guy. Right? So I'm so glad I had that mistake in front of y'all, because all these guys, like, they got such small, differences in them. You know what I'm saying? The reason I picked Greg over Max was because his length and his movement. You know what I mean? But Chris was a little more physical than Greg. But Yanni was more physical than Chris. But they moved kind of similar. But Chris is a guard. Yanni's a tackle. I think if Yanni played tackle, then if Yanni played guard, Yanni would be a better guard than Chris. But Yanni wouldn't be a better guard than Ross, and he's not a better tackle than Titus. That's these conversations that we got to have when we build these boards. So when y'all ask Voch Lombardi to do a 100-person big board 6 times a year, I tell y'all, kiss my ass, because a lot of this stuff is hard to do. But man, I really appreciated, me effing up right here so I can bring that to y'all. That was one of the conversations that I had, and I can screenshot it, and or I can take a picture of my folder and I can send it to you and put it on Twitter or something. I don't know. Y'all tell me if y'all want to see that, what my folder looked like. But yeah, I value Ross and Titus over Yachty. Right, so a lot of people gonna ask me, well, Voch, would Yachty be better off playing guard? I mean, possibly, but he's a big ass dude, and guards got to be able to move too. I don't know. So what I think Yachty could probably do, I don't know, I could be wrong here, but like lose a little weight maybe, and then see how that makes him move. We'll see. Combines, coming up, and I'm sure somebody gave him that bit of advice, so we'll see. As far as Titus, as Ross Pearson, he plays guard and center. He can play both for you. I value him as a center, but that dude can play against everything. His fight versus Jeffrey Simmons, man, Mississippi State's Jeffrey Simmons, man, that dude really gained my respect in that fight. So Ross Pearson, the center, he's at number 8 here. Good conversation. And we got Elgin Jenkins, the center from Mississippi State. I slightly like him a little bit over Ross Pearson, and that's okay. What I really like about Elgin Jenkins, you can go watch that film session as well. I really like how he deals with power. I think he's very solid. He's not the best moving center out of all the centers. We'll have that conversation in a minute. But Elgin Jenkins, man, I really like his physicality. I really like just him practically just getting the job done every time. But I really appreciate it. Every time I've ever seen him get bull rush, he puts one foot in the ground and that shit stops right there. I really appreciate that about Elgin Jenkins. Let's get into YouTube. Illuminati is taking money away from your favorite content creators, and people often ask the best way to support the channel directly. I tell them that's subscribing to my Patreon. Just $1 a month would increase production and the frequency of uploads. Basically, that means more content for you. For less than a bag of almond M&Ms, you can support the channel, call dibs on requests for future videos, and you can have access to Patreon exclusive material like my throwback film sessions. That's patreon.com/Voch Lombardi. I appreciate the support. Doski Woski. Salute. That was the first 15 through 7. Okay. Then we're going to do 6 through 2. And then we're going to run number 1, show y'all who's number 1. I promise it's not going to be a picture of Voch Lombardi again. Dalton Reisner, the tackle from Kansas State. Senior Bowl guy. It's a lot of Senior Bowl guys. It's 1, 2 more of them. Cool. Senior Bowl guy. That's when I got exposed to him. Like everybody knows I'm pretty late to the party when it comes to watching film on these guys, because I'm busy covering the season, and I don't really care about being first. I care about being right. You know what I'm saying? It's a Drake line for that. But Dalton Reisner was one of the guys that I saw at the Senior Bowl. A lot of people looking at him as a guard or whatever. I saw him play tackle. I think he did just fine at tackle. I went back and watched his film. Sure, cool. People talking about his arm length and he won't be able to deal with length. I mean, he did pretty well against Montez Sweat, and that's damn slender man this year in terms of length. So, but Dalton Reisner, as far as his movement, good size. He's a grown ass man, powerful dude. I like him in the run. Solid tackle, man. Dalton Reisner is my 7th. He's my 6th offensive lineman this year in my rankings. And boy, oh boy, me and Lieutenant Dan love us some Garrett Bradbury, bro. He's my number 5 guy. We love us some Garrett Bradbury. In the near future, me and Lieutenant Dan are going to be dropping multiple film sessions. Lieutenant Dan is going to be breaking down. We're going to joint break it down, right? But on his channel, we're going to show Virginia and Boston College and some other team I forgot. And I was like, well, damn, Dan, it's a pretty good film session on Garrett Bradbury, but he beat the shit out of everybody. What's he gonna do against competition? And then over on my channel, me and Lieutenant Dan, we're gonna watch Bradbury versus Clemson versus Dexter Lawrence and Christian Wilkins. And he put hands on those guys too, man. I got such a respect for this dude, Garrett Bradbury, man. He should be a first round pick. And if you a mock that ain't got him in the first round, you goofy as hell. And if he does fall to the second round, boy, team should be running to the podium to go get him, man. It's a lot of talent in the middle of this draft, man. Plenty of talent in the middle of this draft. And if Garrett Bradbury does fall, man, the movement. This dude can reach everything in the back of the refrigerator, man. So I know he can reach all these 3 techs, 4 techs. His movement is fantastic. People would try to call him soft, and I'm not going to call him soft. I'll just say he needs to get stronger. I would say he could probably be a little stronger so he can be a little more powerful in certain situations. But he's a fighter. He's a very tough dude. There's this one example where he's going against Dexter Lawrence. I'm gonna show it on my film session. There's this one part where he's going up against Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence is a mile stronger than Garrett Bradbury, and Dexter Lawrence just kind of shoved Garrett, but Garrett gave everything he got and he hit Dexter, and it ended up being this stalemate, right? It wasn't easy for Garrett because Dexter's way stronger than him, but he executed the block because he gave everything he had. That's why Greg Little's so far down my list. That's why Michael Jordan is not on my list. Michael Jordan from Ohio State. And I know he's going to be an Ohio State fan in my chat box comment section hating whatever. Michael Jordan on my list. But that's why he's not, though, because those guys didn't display toughness. They didn't deliver. You know what I'm saying? Garrett's not the strongest, but he will hit Dexter Lawrence and Christian Wilkins in the mouth for the greater good of the block. And I have so much respect for that dude, for that level of offensive line play. Second level blocking DBs out in space, easy peasy, man. Good stuff. If you're a zone running team, man, go get Garrett Bradbury, plug him in, and go on with your life, man. Huge fan of this kid. Huge fan of this kid. Andre Diller. I like watching him move, man. One of the most comfortable moving offensive linemen in this draft, man. Great feet. And it's a common trend in this draft that a lot of big ass kids got great feet. I'll save that conversation for these guys, but everybody in this top 6. Yes, top 6. Everybody in my top 6 got great feet. Everybody moves pretty well. Dalton probably got the worst feet out of everybody, but that ain't saying much. That's saying Dalton got the worst feet out of the top 6. Just everybody in this top 6 got top tier ass feet. That's all that is. Hey, everybody, hashtag top tier ass feet in the chat box right now in the comment section. Top tier ass feet. Anyway, Andre Diller got top tier ass feet. He's another Senior Bowl guy. Beats everybody, man. Beats everybody. He gets to his landmarks. Great movement as a pass blocker. Fantastic run blocker. Gets the job done. Dealing with length is his only situation, right? Now during the season, he ran against some guys with length or whatever, but he's a real elbow bendy blocker. And when your elbows are bent for real, guys can get close a little. Guys can get a little too close to you. They get all up in your grill sometimes, right? Andre Diller lets guys get close to him. I don't recommend it, but he does, and it works. In the Senior Bowl practices, he ran against Montez Sweat, and that didn't work out too well for him. You need as much extension as you possibly can, and Montez Sweat was the only guy that really got the best of him because of his length. But everybody else, Andre Diller basically put hands on. I like him as a first round pick as well. Juwan Taylor, and we going right back to the Spider-Man stuff, right? We going right back to everybody looking the same. These big ass kids with great feet. But I think what separates Juwan, who looks like T-Top, I think what separates Juwan from Andre is I think Juwan's a little more physical. He's a little more physical in the run game. He's a little more nasty. Not to say Andre is soft. I ain't saying that. Somebody gonna say it. But I think Juwan is just a hair more physical in the run game. And it's just small small little nuances that are separating these guys, man. But as far as movement, it's easy for Juwan to move, man. Hey, you want to know what's going to be a fun day? The damn combine when all these top guys just get to move around. They just get to get in these drills and they just get to kick slide and they just get to mirror drill each other. That's going to be porn right there. That's O-line porn for us to watch, bro. And Juwan Taylor, I really like him. Great length, great size, great feet. A little more physical than Andre in the run game, man. And I think all these guys got better feet than Dalton. But they're more physical than Garrett, but he's more physical than Andre, right? That's what that is. Jonah Williams is my number 2 guy. Even though I just talked about physicality separating Juwan from Andre, I don't think Jonah Williams is a very physical player. He's not a very mean, physical, imposing player. But every damn thing else he does is perfect. Every damn thing else he does is perfect and is top tier. Feet, hands, movement, mirror, hips, second level, all that stuff, man. Like, consistent. He just consistently blocks people. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about putting him at guard and center and all that jazz. Man, no, put him at tackle. Put him at tackle. I think he'll be fine at tackle. People like to talk about arm length or whatever. And, well, what about Joe Thomas with his short arms? Well, Joe Thomas is a jewel. But the best way to overcome shorter arms is hand placement. All right. And don't get me wrong. There are 1,000 short arm tackles that don't make it because of length. Right. But if you got top tier hand placement, you good. Joe Thomas had top tier hand placement, so he was fine. But if you're a tackle that got short arms and your hand placement ain't great, good luck to you. Jonah Williams has fantastic hand placement. He just knows when to shoot. He knows where to put him when he shoots. Those elbows get tight, man. They stay in the holster right until it's time. Then pop. Good hand quickness. They're on you before you know it. And next thing you know, your length doesn't matter because my timing was great. My hand speed was great. You know what I mean? So I'm not necessarily worried about Jonah's arm length there. Let this man play tackle and let him get on with his life, man. Moving on. But he's so fantastic at technique, it trumps everything else, man. Boy, oh boy. But my number 1 guy, man. I love watching Cody Ford play football, man. First of all, everything that we just said wrong about Jonah Williams. Cody Ford is fantastic at it. But everything that Jonah Williams is good at, Cody might be like one tick under it in certain spots. And let's talk about that, right? Let me explain that kind of sort of. So when we talk about movement, right? Cody is 300 and mad pounds. He's way bigger than Jonah Williams. If you're looking at Jonah Williams, you're going to have a conversation about his size and his arm length. Cody Ford has elite level size and arm length. If you're going to get that big, then you would have concerns about his feet. You shouldn't. Cody Ford has fantastic feet, fantastic movement. He's a great athlete, and I can't wait till he shocks the hell out of people at the combine. You want to talk about hand placement. I think Jonah Williams has better hand placement, but what we just talked about hand placement being the back end of arm length. So Cody ain't got the greatest Jonah Williams hand placement in the world. What he does have is these long ass tree limbs for arms, right? And what he does is that he can get his hands on you without you getting hands on him. So his hand placement ain't got to be perfect. Jonah Williams got perfect hands, but they got to be. Cody's hands don't have to be perfect. Moving in space, Jonah and Cody can both move in space. Blocking second level, they both can do so. Here's another difference. We talk about Jonah finishing blocks. I mean, he stays on blocks, but does he whoop people? Is he mean? Is he nasty? Is he angry? No, but damn, Cody Ford is. Not knocking Jonah Williams from anything because he's elite and top tier in a lot of places, in a lot of categories. Just that Cody Ford is really good in those places, and where Jonah is bad, Cody is fantastic. Boy, you can make a highlight tape of Cody Ford finishing people. You can make a highlight tape of Cody Ford just having long arms. He don't even miss with his hands. They're just not in the perfect place all the time, but his arms are so long. You can make a highlight tape of Cody just moving around. If you go on my Twitter, I actually retweeted this video of Cody Ford just blocking downfield, 30, 40 yards downfield for his runner, because his movement is so top tier like that. He played right tackle, man. Bobby Evans was on the other side. I mean, I feel you, dog. And I know a lot of teams are going to try to put Cody Ford at guard. And I think Cody Ford would be an animal at guard. But, bro, Cody Ford can play whatever damn position he wants to. And none of y'all hoes gonna convince me otherwise. I'm talking to the draft Illuminati. Them hoes ain't gonna convince me otherwise. Cody Ford is the man. He's the best offensive lineman in this draft, in my opinion. I will not comply to the draft Illuminati's opinion. I will not follow them. This is only my opinion. Cody Ford is the man. He puts the nipple on the titty. He put the satin on the panties. He's the best this year. O-line number 1, tackle number 1, guard number 1. If he learn how to snap, he'll be center number 1. All right, that's a long ass 15, guys. This time, last time it was 10, but we're in that point of the year. Wide receiver, DB, running back stuff. I really want to see how those guys run, and I want to see how the DBs. I want to see how their hips look. Okay, so I'm waiting on the combine to watch film and truly evaluate and put out rankings on them. All right, so y'all like this video. If you're new here, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I drop random ass videos in the middle of the week just like this. Go watch all my film sessions, man. Go watch the Senior Bowl footage. It got all these guys on the Senior Bowl footage. And follow me on Twitter, Voch Lombardi, VOCHLOMBARDI. Cop a shirt, man. Y'all hold down for the Doski, Woski, the Peasky, Whiskey is free. Salute.